So hello everyone, we're here today with Shakira, BoT and Cara, who are the Goodwall Prize winners, and they participated in the Food for Thought competition. And so my first question for you girls is, why are you here? Can you tell us a little bit about the competition and about your projects?
Yes, so hi everyone, I'm Cara, and I participated in the Food for Thought challenge, which is, okay, so there's an app called Goodwall, and then they post challenges where you can win cool prizes. And my project was on having to explain the production system of my favorite meal. So I made a video about it, in like 3-minute video. I posted it on the app where lots of other people participated, like BoT and Shakira. And then the prize was actually coming here and being a part of Bites of Transfoodmation and being a volunteer at this event. So that's kind of how I am here and standing here with all of you today.
Thank you, Cara. And can you tell us a little bit about your favorite food as well and what you prepared?
Yes, so in the video, my favorite meal was butternut salad. So what I focused on was the effects that this has on the environment. So butternut you start off, you plant it in the ground. And then it grows and it's harvested, and then it's transported to the market, and then it's transported to the local supermarket. And then we as consumers, we have to go, we have to go to the supermarket, also in transportation. And then while we're at the supermarket, where do we go? Transport ourselves back home. So you can kind of see that throughout that there's a lot of transportation happening. Right, and transportation emits a lot of gases contributing to climate change. And I also showcase kind of how each of these products are being stored. So they need to be refrigerated. For instance, the salad pot, so it's rocket, it needs to be kept in a refrigerator and made sure that it doesn't expire, for instance. So refrigeration also uses electricity, and that is coal and coal combustion. You can kind of see how the effect that it will have on the environment. And the other thing that I focused on was the use of chemical fertilizers. So throughout this whole food system, there's so much chemical fertilizers being applied to the crops, and especially if they're used in excess, this then flows into the rivers, leading to eutrophication. So that basically means it gets filled with algae, and then everything within that river then dies. So that's also a negative part. So then at the end of my video, I explained how I could improve on this system, right? So the first thing we could do is find alternative methods of transportation. So us ourselves, if we have a supermarket which is close or nearby, we could walk or we could use a bicycle. We could support farms which produce locally. So locally produced, food, yeah. And another thing is supporting farms which use organic fertilizers sustainably. So those were the kind of how I try to explain the food system and give solutions on how to improve it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. BoT or Shakira, if you want to tell us about your projects.
Okay, thank you. I am Shakira Haider from Bangladesh. So my history is kind of different and exciting for me because I found out Goodwall 2 days before participating this challenge, and I created my account. And the first challenge I found was the Food for Thought challenge, and I posted my video there, and then I won the prize. So I was the second grand winner of the Food for Thought challenge, and there I presented my favorite dish, which was chicken made in a different process because I brought there something that is different from my culture. So usually in my culture, we cook chicken with so many spices and oils because Asian foods are. So, the dish that I presented there was kind of different because it is the dish of the tribal people in my country. So they cook the chicken with boiling in water, adding the different kind of spices like ginger, chili, and black pepper. And also, after boiling the chicken in the water, they separate it from the water and shreds the chickens into mince pieces and adds onions, lemon, and different kinds of salads with the chicken. So it is quite different, and I found out the process is quite nutritious because, I think boiling and simmering is much more nutritious than grilling the meat. So, yes, that's why I presented that here. And then I also showed the supply chain of my dish and that how the raw materials are coming from the production level. And I also presented some impacts on our community and also on our environment, and that I pointed out 3 points that in our community, see if we are buying foods from our local farmers, it will strengthen the relationship between the consumers and the farmers. And also it will help build the economy in our community. And also it will ensure food safety because if you know what you are buying from the farmers, you will know what you are eating, how safe the food is for your health also. And then I also mentioned how can I utilize the food waste to make it more sustainable for our environment. So for me, I used the technique that I used the plant waste to make them into fertilizer, mix them with soil, and used them in my garden. And from a research article, I found out that we can also reutilize the poultry waste also because these are perishable, and if we throw them in open dump, it will produce some sulfur gases that will pollute our environment. So instead, we can use those perishable products to make biogas plant, so that we can use the gases in our community. And also, the chicken feathers are also usable. The research says that we can use the chicken feathers to make textile items. So I presented all of this. And lastly, one thing that was different that I presented is that I used the chicken bones to feed the stray dogs in my community because people in my country do not love stray dogs. I don't know why. So the stray dogs are a bit suffers from hunger. So I think instead of wasting food, we can feed those animals, right? So that is why what I presented in the Food for Thought Challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakira. A lot of interesting ideas on how to diminish or at least prevent food waste. BoT?
Yeah. My name is BoT and I'm from Nigeria. Actually, I'm the third grand winner of the Food for Thought Challenge. I have actually participated in some challenges on the Goodwall app and I won. So for this Food for Thought, I talked about my favorite meal and its effects on the environment and how I can help improve the process. So actually, my favorite meal is white rice and ofaku. And the dish is actually made from, the ofaku is actually made from palm fruit, and that is locally grown in my community. And I also talked about the production, the effects it has on it. And the effect it has is that, the effect it has is that generally food production has some effects on the environment because when we go through production, there are certain effects, which means the emission of carbon dioxide and some planet warming gases. And actually, we can't stop eating because our food production goes through has some things to do with emission of carbon dioxide. So I talked about how to improve the process, which means cutting down on food waste. So in my home, my mom is always against food waste. She will always say, take as much as you can finish. So, and I talked about how to cut down on that food waste, which is using the leftover from the vegetables as compost. Because using compost in our farm is very, very good. Because instead of using artificial fertilizers, we use compost, and it's also a form of regenerative agriculture. So I also talked about from the rice, we use the water as a form of fertilizer. And we also use it as a form of pesticide, because if you leave it to ferment, you can also use it to ward off unwanted pests. And also, personally, I use the rice water for my hair because it helps with hair growth. And ever since I started using the rice water, I figured out that my hair has actually grown longer. And yeah, it's actually good. So I thought about I thought about how to improve the process, and the process has to do with food waste. I discussed several challenges we face in our environment, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Personally, I would like to try all of the dishes you made. Yeah. Before going on to the second question, I would like to ask the audience and bring you in for some interaction. And I would like to ask if there's any food waste innovations that you engage in your homes, or anything that you would like to share with us.
Something, I don't know when it was, but at a certain moment in Switzerland, southern part of Switzerland, there was a decision for give the municipalities a task to produce compost. And if you see, most of the villages, they have a compost place where actually the quantity of compost that then was produced in the years was so much that actually municipalities didn't know exactly what to do. So the point is that they're maybe trying to make is how it's easy or difficult. So when we are having food waste, they are irregular, right? And so when they are irregular, it's very difficult to know what to do with it. Because, of course, you might have some of the activities in the garden or something else, but it's very difficult to plan, for instance, in a city or municipality or something, the household overproduction, if you want, all from the gardens and everything that goes into the compost, if you didn't kind of think about all the chain, what's the use of it. So it took years before actually realizing this compost could be used by farming and so on. So these are the linkages that are quite often missing. Or some people, I don't know if it's true because I'm not from Rome, but I'm from here in Rome, there is a daily come dice l'umido, la collezione, l'umido, and then in the umido, I asked many times what should I put and what should I not put in the umido, and then and there is really big interpretations. Some people put the paper, some people not, some people put I don't know what. And then some people say, oh, but anyway, they pretend making the separation but then everything together. I see some nodding, so this rumor is spread, I see. And so I go back to a question, maybe to all of the young ones. So how can we I'm talking about municipalities, because municipalities these are authorities that are kind of reaching, can be reached in a way or another by campaign. So how do you would imagine to participate in campaign or something that are kind of pushes or forces also the authorities? They are trying to do something, but not necessarily in the best manner to do something useful. That is going from a small scale to a big scale. Then about the food and the menu is maybe something else. And by the way, my name is Pio Venops. I'm the permanent representative of the Swiss mission to the United Nations here, based in Rome.
Thank you very much. Anyone from the audience wants to pitch in?
So I think that maybe to respond the request that Pio said, it would be nice to have more transparency on the whole process. You said what happens with the humido. So actually what they do with the humido, it could be nice to have young people that can make maybe a video on what actually happens, and then so we can go to school and make something with the school, bring the educational part into the process. So using infrastructure like community or what they really do with the humido, and then we see exactly what they do and we implement it in the educational systems, so we can keep going on what's already exists, making more transparent, making more obvious, and so doing it in a more properly way.
Thank you very much, Mattia. So I had a question for you related to our manifesto, the Bites of Transfoodmation Manifesto, which I guess most of you have read, but they will be very happy to bring you through the stands afterwards and explain a bit more about it. It starts with, we believe in the unifying power of food to shape cohesive and sustainable societies. So how do you think your project fits with the manifesto, and what do you think about food having a unifying power?
Okay, let me start like this. My project was, so butternut is grown on large-scale farms, on, far from the city where I live in Pretoria. So it's a city, and then there aren't too many farms where I live, right? So the solution was, okay, you buy butternut from the store. If you cut it open, it has seeds in it, okay? Okay, you take the seeds, and you can plant them at home. You don't necessarily have to go buy the seeds at some place, but here's the other thing. Some types of seeds, you can't actually plant them because they won't produce the butternut. It depends, but you can just try, right? Because you're gonna buy butternut, you cut it open, and what do? You just put the seed in the ground. So that connects to the habitats and proximity. So bringing what you eat back into your own garden. So that's how it kind of connects back to what's going on here. The manifesto of explaining, remembering to break the barriers between urban and rural areas, bringing food systems back to your home, ensuring that you can have a good comprehensive knowledge of where your food actually comes from. And also the process of growing your own food is actually quite a rewarding experience, because it takes like 3 months for the butternut to actually reach a full stage from once you've planted it in the ground. But once it's grown, it's so nice to actually now use what you've grown, and you appreciate what you eat even more. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, for me, my project is kind of linked to the paragraph of the habitat and proximity as well. Because in my country, and based on my favorite food, the white rice, Nigeria actually produces rice. And based on research, I found out that Nigeria is the largest rice-producing country in Africa. That is easy, number one. But the most funny part is that we don't appreciate our locally produced rice. We import rice from abroad. And we import from India, Thailand, China, United States. And I figured out that the reason why most people don't actually eat our local food is that it's not properly processed. Some of them contain rocks. And the people kind of say, I can't eat this food that has rocks in it. So they prefer the rice that is imported from abroad. So a situation whereby the people kind of appreciate what we have. Okay, our production of rice, if we're able to eat our locally produced rice, I think that would be better for us.
Okay, I think my dish relates to the diversity of food system, because as I said that the dish that I presented was not from my culture, it was from different culture. So I think, yes, this is how we embrace the diversity of food. and here we are in this event. And also I would like to say from a different perspective, because Goodwall is a digital platform, and we use that digital platform to be united from different countries and share our opinions through the perspective of food. So I think it relates to the digitalization and knowledge part also.
Time. But I'm the new young one. But no, at the beginning of the work the beginning of this community that got together, the idea was to do things in presence, right? You remember? And then we had a huge crisis. We didn't know because of COVID, so you can imagine. So everything planned didn't work. Nothing was functioning, and I wanted, as a young old, I was saying, okay, it's not gonna function, stop everything. And I remember Ludovica saying, no, let's go, we do everything on videos, on discussing, negotiating online, and so on and so on. And one of the things that the group that I remember, it was before Christmas time or something like this, one thing that the group was starting to do was sharing recipes, and then they invented a kind of a game, because everybody was anyway blocked at home, a little bit depressed and so on, so trying to find some scope of them in the moment. And so they were kind of defining their own ways of what is sustainable, what is nice, and what is not nice. And it came out a kind of a platform that not only said, okay, I'm cooking this, what do you think is good or is not good, but they started to exchange and modify the recipes basically from different continents, the same recipes. People, young ones, students and so on, they were starting to work on their recipes. And actually, some of the results, I'm cooking them still today. Some of these new recipes entered into my diet. And now this is how fast it goes today. You can imagine just 20, 30 years ago, to bring a change like this, a small change into a local diet would have been a super story. No, in my tradition we cannot, we have to use the butter in this way or the ghee in that way or whatever. No, I'm cooking Indian food with olive oil, for instance, right? Yes, exactly. And today it's possible, it's doable. And it's doable even to think about while you are, as a student, because you have more time in general, but I'm not even sure that it used to be having more time. But you can even including exactly these aspects about your concept of sustainability. So you create your own awareness and then you share it with others. And actually it's fun. It's also fun. But it's not only fun. At a certain moment, then you get in touch with these other gatherings, the professionals that are here, that you will talk to them after that they made the living out of their way of proposing food and sustainable food. So the fact that you can today, in a digitalized world, renew your own traditions, and then maybe convince your own parents to renew a little bit their own tradition too, and so on. This is just fast changing. I'm not saying that, and doesn't necessarily bring to we all eat our, I don't know, or everyone eat the same thing everywhere as we thought. Actually, no. It adds increasing a lot diversity and personalization of your own recipes, which opens a way for new businesses, even small businesses, and so on. Sorry, but what I'm talking, I'm imagining all this.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.